Happy New Year 2021. Today we'll be talking about some big tech trends in this year, which is 2021. Before we answer any questions and cover some of the big trends that we should expect in this year, let me tell you something about non tech, something about psychology and humans, and that should help you not just think about what is coming in 2021 from a technology perspective, but in general, so that you can make your own decisions. You could broadly think about what you should expect in this year. I will start by reiterating the theory of what's called optimal experience. The best times of our lives are not the boring kind, sitting on the beach, no worries, relaxing, sipping mojitos and wine. These are great for Instagram and Facebook photos once you have done that, but they die down very soon. And yes, obviously, you will see a lot of influencers doing it, whether it's being on Instagram or Facebook. Sometimes these can indeed be enjoyable if you have worked really, really hard to get to where you are, and then you are taking a vacation or a break to going to the beach or taking that vacation. In general, the big experience and the times that we remember the most are the one which involves us as human beings using our brain and body, where we stretch what we are capable of to the limits, voluntary, in an effort to accomplish something that's better, grand, and worthwhile to do. Something to be really proud of, and we'll be able to talk about that from time to time with the friends in your family. Optimal experiences are something we make as opposed to something we pay for. You can buy a plane ticket to Hawaii and book a hotel, and you will be there in 6 hours if you're in California, but that is it. But to get to that optimal experience, you really need to work towards it. You need to create it. We have all gone with a lot of stuff in 2020, but that doesn't mean we will all stop, take a break, and buy that flight tickets to our vacation destination stop. Especially when 2020 was really bad due to the pandemic, and we do expect this to be over to some extent in 2021. That is probably not going to happen. I will give you a very good example, and then we'll be taking questions. The billionaire Shelton Addison flew his personal Airbus A345 from Israel to Hawaii non-stop in an 18-hour flight. That was, I believe, in 2017. I came to know about that from somebody just 2 days back. It was the longest flight ever to depart from Israel, and went from Europe, then it went to the Arctic Ocean, then it continued north to the North Pole, and then it dived to Alaska, and then to Hawaii in Honolulu. This gentleman is a billionaire. And what I did not mention to you is that the Airbus A345 is a modified Airbus that a lot of you all must have flown commercially. It usually needs 3 pilots to fly this, but Sheldon did it by himself. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted to have the sense of adventure, then accomplishment. And that's what drove him to do it. And as we talk about 2031 and the tech trends, I believe that will be the big basis of what is to come, either in our personal life or in our professional life. Okay, with that, let's talk tech trends. Let's see what the first question is. The question is, what will be some of the big tech trends in the new year, which is 2021? I will start with something a little bit that we have heard about quite a bit, which is on security and cybersecurity. We all heard about the the hack that affected pretty much all of the U.S. institutions and lots of companies, the SolarWind hack, where an update from SolarWind, where SolarWind was used, had a malware, and that affected a lot of systems. And we have also seen some of these similar hacks, even if at a smaller scale in the past. 2021 will be the year of cybersecurity. There'll be a lot more spending on cybersecurity. There'll be a lot more companies working on it, and and the most important, a lot of the companies and government agencies will be paying a lot more attention to cybersecurity. And the bottom line is that we as individuals should be taking more care about that, because this will be a year where I believe there will be more hacks, there will be more malware, there will be more scams. The second, I would say, is privacy. Privacy, to some extent, in the last couple of years was overlooked. And that's one of the reasons why some of the newer regulation came into existence. CCPA in California, GDPR in Europe. And coming to 2021, every company, both on the consumer or the enterprise space, will be spending much more money, will be spending much more marketing dollars to educate their consumers and the customers that privacy is important, and this is what we are doing for you. And some of the companies that come into mind is Apple. For example, Apple versus Facebook is a great example where Apple is doing whatever it takes to make our conversations private, to make us much more aware what we use, how we use, what's there in our iPhone, who is shared some of the information. I think this will be a huge topic and one of the big trends for 2021. On a smaller scale and on the more fun topics, I also see commercialization of deepfakes. Deepfakes are realistic looking digital humans, as I described that, which could be made to look like anyone. So far, in the last 2 years, they have been used for fun stuff or not so fun stuff, but not really on commercialization or on marketing side. And with the pandemic, which happened in 2020, and that to some extent will continue, deepfakes will become much more important. So what that means is that you will see much more deepfakes when it comes to commercials that you will see on TV, or some of the characters that you will see on the internet, from big to small companies alike. We already saw better digital experiences coming out of companies, both from social media companies and video conferencing companies. I mean, Zoom is an excellent example. They have made the user experience so much better off video conferencing. They have some issues related to privacy, but they are working on that. I would say better digital experience would be one of the big things that will happen, where some of these experiences will be just much more immersive, where you're using AR and VR and artificial intelligence and better screens, better bandwidth, better everything to make the experience, make these digital experience much more interesting to customers and consumers. Okay, we have another question. How do you think the new technology trend is emerging, and how will those trends redefine the way we live? That's an excellent continuation of my last trend about better digital experience, or building better digital experience. And that goes for both the enterprise world, where some of the enterprise software that tends to be much more bulkier, the user interfaces were not that straightforward, or where you need to spend lots and lots of hours to make something to work. These will be just much better. And then also, for example, if you talk about consumer-focused digital experience, customer care, it's in the intersection of something that hits consumers as well as enterprise companies. Automated customer experience or automated customer service agents will be something that will gain popularity in 2021. And the formal term for that is RPA, or robot process automation. So these are software robots or software agents that will answer your queries, and that will help everyone, both from enterprises as well as from to consumers. Workplaces have been completely redefined. Now, it doesn't matter where the company is. You could be working from anywhere. And that has already, in the last 2 to 3 months, especially affected how we work, where we live. What is this work-life balance? If you're working out of Hawaii, or if you're working out of Lake Tahoe, is there something called a work-life balance? Because you are in a great location, you are working, but you're having a lot of good time with the family who will be right there with you. And that will continue, while on one side, companies are relocating. So you will hear all the stories about Silicon Valley companies. Oracle is a great example that relocated from Silicon Valley to Texas. It's the companies that are relocating, not the people. People have the independence to work from anywhere they like. If they like California, they will stay here in San Francisco, or they will stay here in Palo Alto and work from here. Or if they like to work out of Honolulu in Hawaii, they will do so. And that's the flexibility companies are also giving, that you can work from anywhere. And that redefines how we think about work or how we think about our lifestyle. There is no 9 to 5 job anymore. Will you want to work at noon when you are right next to the beach? Probably not. You may want to just take your lunch and be at the beach and work in the evening. And that's what has changed a lot. And the pandemic, to some extent, has accelerated that process where all this happened in the next 12 months. We would have expected something of that sort to happen in the next 5 years, but the pandemic has accelerated that process. The second related thing is healthcare. It would have been hard to imagine that telemedicine or telehealthcare, where you are calling your doctor all the time, or you are on a video call with your doctor, is something that we were imagining, or it was once in a time thing. But now it's the norm, and that will continue to do so. And now that we have figured out these things work, whether it be working from anywhere or getting your doctor and consulting with him or her through your laptop, they're not going anywhere soon. On the healthcare side, now it is possible to reach many, many more people who traditionally would not have access to the healthcare. On the work side, the CFOs have found out that, oh, I can just get the people to work from home, and I'm saving so much on the capex. Plus, the employees are themselves happy because they can work from anywhere. They don't have to be in their office. They don't have to commute for hours and hours every day. The last thing I would say, which is new and a lot more work needs to be done, is vaccination. COVID-19, in my opinion, was just a start of the decades of pandemics. And we as a society did a great job in tackling it. But we humans are humans, and my belief is that we will have a pandemic like this every few years. where there'll be some small pandemics, and now and then there'll be something big, which means is that our healthcare system needs to be prepared to work at scale. It should be prepared to vaccinate people at scale, not in the next 100 years or not every 10 years, but maybe every couple of years. We need to have the system to build these vaccines, have a good certification process. Number one and number two, these two things are to some extent already taken care of. Now the government have accelerated the process of how and when to certify these vaccines. What's still missing is the logistical aspect of it. How do you figure out who will get it and how quickly can you get these vaccines to billions of people? A very simple example in Mendocino County, that's up north in California, which is one of the great wine countries. I'll recommend to go to the Mendocino wine country. It's also called Anderson Valley. It's so much better than going to Napa or Sonoma. People are much more familiar. The wines are much more, the wineries are also much more friendlier. But what happened just 2 days back during the weekend was that one of the refrigerators in the hospital that was keeping the full supply of COVID-19 vaccine for the whole county went down. And the hospital has to administer the full supply to more than 150,000 people in 2 to 3 hours, because if they would have not done it, the vaccine would have gone to waste. These things should not happen. And if they happen, this should be, if they happen and if one county in California is able to administer so many vaccines to so many people in such a little time, so can the rest of the US, and in that sense, other countries as well. I believe 2021 will see companies doing it where they will have processes, logistical capabilities, and the companies that I see most capable of doing it is actually are e-commerce companies like Amazon or even Google. Thanks, folks. This was great questions, and if you have any follow-up questions, or if you'd like to talk to me again or any one of my team, please feel free to write to us. We do check our Facebook very often. We are also on LinkedIn, and as a reminder, we are Skive. We build Robometrics machines, which are machines that feel, with the application in aerospace, in healthcare, in smart homes, in autonomous cars. And yes, we are hiring. That's it for today. Till next week. Happy New Year 2021.